Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Montcast. No episode spotlight this week, it's just the week's news and what to expect this coming weekend. So let's get to it. First up we have what's popular, and surprise surprise at the top of the list, Far Cry 5. Yeah, it released, and obviously any franchise that can warrant putting out a fifth game is probably pretty popular, and this one is no different. Lots of people are playing it. Also, Burnout Paradise Remastered, people still playing that. And PC Building Simulator. No, really, this one caught me off guard too, but apparently there's a new sim on the Steam store. It's called PC Building Simulator, and apparently it's really popular. I don't know why, but it is. Rocket League gets a bit of a boost in player base, not player base, but playership, probably brought on by the Rocket League Championship Series picking up. And PUBG, top of the list still, but it makes the list this week because it is rapidly approaching 1 billion hours played. That is a mark that is untouched as far as I know. Maybe there's some free-to-play games, probably games like Dota and League of Legends might boast those numbers, but that is pretty significant, especially when you consider the short period of time that PUBG has actually been out. Your new gamer this week, you've already heard it this episode, is Far Cry 5. This, just looks like so much fun. I personally can't afford to spend that much money on a game, but I've been watching people play it on Twitch, and it looks like they really hit this one out of the park. I've only seen early gameplay, like gameplay from early on in the game. Take that for what it's worth. But the people I've been watching are having a ton of fun. It looks like a ton of fun, and I really want to play it. But yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Far Cry is a franchise of action, first-person shooter type games, action adventure I would say, to an extent. There is a story to it, and it is multiplayer too. So if that's your thing, then you should, and you've never heard of Far Cry, you should look into that, and you can get the first 4 games for less than the 5th game is out right now. Obviously, because the 5th one is brand new, it's still full price. Alright, next up we have the video game news segment, and there's a couple not quite video game news in here, just sprinkled in because I had nowhere else to put it. I really might need to look into another segment for miscellaneous news, I guess, but anyways, moving on. There's an interesting stream to follow on Twitch if you spend any amount of time on Twitch and just looking for something that's kind of interesting every now and then. NASA has a Twitch channel, and there's some really... They don't stream a lot, I'll just say that. But when they do, it's always something really interesting. Just the other day, I saw that NASA was streaming a spacewalk from the International Space Station. They had 2 of their astronauts working on the exterior of the International Space Station, and they were live streaming that to Twitch. So if that seems like something that you might be interested in every now and then, go give the NASA channel on Twitch a follow. It's literally NASA. That is the channel name on Twitch. Hearthstone is giving away card packs for each daily quest you complete for 2 weeks. This started 2 days ago, so you're a little behind if this is me breaking the news to you. But to be honest, I have lost interest. Hearthstone is a free-to-play game that's way too expensive to keep up with for most people's money, I think. Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, there's finally news on this front. It's apparently been in the works for 6 years, and we only recently figured out what it's kind of gonna be. And what it's kind of gonna be is an immersive, story-driven RPG. Multiplayer is not ruled out. If you want more information on this game, there'll be a link in the episode description. There is a slew of articles that have come out over the last couple of weeks regarding the Battle for Azeroth WoW expansion. And it's coming soon. It's not out yet, but there's just too much content being released in too little increments for me to actually cover the content itself. But and there's not really a comprehensive link that has everything up to date. But if you're a WoW fan and you play WoW on a regular basis, you are probably well aware of the announcements as they're being made. Anyways, Overwatch now has an avoid as teammate option. And I should stress that they're testing this feature in case it completely breaks everything. But essentially, if you get a toxic player on your team, you can avoid them as a teammate in queuing, so that you might still be put in a match with that player, but that player would be on the other team if you have the avoid as teammate selected for that player. So it's a way to try and knock out toxic players, and we'll see how that goes. There's an Xbox version of Hellblade. It's announced, it's not out, but it's coming. There's an open world Star Wars game in development after how the last ones went down. They're taking it in a new direction by the looks of things, so hopefully this one's good. But if you are into the Star Wars games, just prepare your wallet for that one. But it doesn't appear to be coming anytime soon, so you've got time to save it. There was a YouTube Fortnite stream. It had 100 YouTube personalities, like actual significant community leaders in the YouTube world that all played Fortnite, and it drew more than 1 million viewers, which is huge. Move over, Twitch. Just kidding, you're still number one. But this was a big one. The exact viewer count is not known because there were so many people streaming it. It would have been impossible to keep up with total concurrent viewers, but it was more than 1 million because I believe the host, the organizer of the event, who had the most viewers, his stream alone peaked at over 1 million viewers. So that is pretty groundbreaking for a live stream, even of Fortnite, which tends to draw a lot of viewers anyways. Fortnite is airing a Warcraft episode this Sunday. Sorry, did I say Fortnite is... Wow. Family Guy. Family Guy is airing a Warcraft episode this Sunday. Because I can talk. Oh boy. No Man's Sky is coming to Xbox. Take that for what it is. But it doesn't seem like the community is really looking forward to this one. So yeah. Diablo 3. I could go over what's on sale in-game, but that's a podcast on its own. Essentially, just about everything in-game is on sale. So if you want to get back into Diablo 3, right now would be a good time to log in and see what's on sale. If you wanted to check it out, right now would be a good time to log in and check that out. Diablo 3 is on the Battle.net player, not Steam, just if you're looking for it, because it's a Blizzard game. Overwatch Uprising event is coming back in April. Don't confuse this with the Boston Uprising Overwatch League team. This is the Uprising event, the Tracer story stuff. And there's more Tracer story stuff coming in the next one. And it's coming up soon. I don't have a date for it. It's coming in April. So, look forward to that if you play Overwatch on a regular basis. LOL April Foods event. That's all I'm gonna say. I bet you can guess what League of Legends is doing for April Fools. But there's an April Foods event coming up, so there's that. Ready Player One is in theaters now. Don't worry, no spoilers here on the podcast, but Ready Player One is the most highly recommended book by far in the gaming community, and it's now a movie, and it's now in theaters. So if you want to skip the book or have read the book and like it, then it's in theaters, so go check it out. It looks pretty cool. And after the first day, the reviews seem pretty good, but it's also still the first day. And wrapping up video game news, there is a Pokemon fan remake using the Unreal Engine, and it looks glorious. So, if you're interested in that, give that one a Google. I just saw this in one of my Twitter feeds, I think, and it looks really cool. Your indie game this week is called Gorogoa. It's a PC, Switch, and iOS hand-drawn card game, and I do know that much. I know that it's very unique. It's not really like any other card game that's popular anyways. And apparently the story just takes 2 to 3 hours to finish, and it's been described as a mind-bending joy to play. And I really wish that somebody had a more comprehensive description of the game itself. However, I can't ignore overwhelmingly positive reviews across the board. When I came across this game, I knew I had to share it with you fine folks. So yeah, there'll be a link in the episode description for this one as well. And on to Esports. The IEM Sydney qualifiers, this is for CSGO, are underway. IEM Sydney will take place from May 4th to May 6th in Australia, obviously. But the qualifiers for NA and EU, both open and closed, are taking place right now, and I think it'll finish up tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, or either that or it'll finish up later today, the qualifiers, and you can watch the semifinals and finals match. By the time this is published, they'll be in the late stages of the tournament, but you can watch those over on the ESL CSGO and ESL CSGO B Twitch channels. The Overwatch League Code of Conduct was leaked. It was leaked a couple of days ago. Overwatch had time to respond, a representative from Overwatch did, and they stated that it's a living document that changes over time. based on feedback from the players and the teams. I'll include the link in the episode description that has the original story, and at the bottom of that original story is the statement from the Overwatch representative. So we have the benefit of having this happen a couple days ago. So we have both the story that was broken and the response from the Overwatch representative, both to process at the same time. So there's that. Then we had one of the most memorable days of esports this year, for me anyways, so I'll start with the Overwatch League Stage 2 playoffs. Yep, I'm a London Spitfire fan, and I'm sad that they lost in the semifinals, but the Philadelphia Fusion were great, and yes, they beat the Spitfire in the semifinals. And Philadelphia was not really in playoff contention for Stage 1. And so their improvement has been significant. They had a really strong stage in Stage 2. And were at one point up 2-0 in a best of 5 in the grand final for Stage 2. But ultimately, the New York Excelsior came back and took them down. But it's good to see a new team that wasn't really a huge contender in Stage 1 being within one map of the Stage 2 championships. Overwatch League is really growing and evolving, and a lot of the mid-tier teams are really improving by leaps and bounds, and it just has become very, very difficult to make predictions on who's going to win, because you just don't know who had a good week of training or whatever it comes down to. But it makes it a really exciting league to watch. The same day that the Philadelphia Fusion broke through and made it to this Game 5 of the stage final, TSM faltered in the North American League of Legends. For those of you who don't know, TSM is a North American League of Legends team. They have existed for 10 splits, and they have made it to the North American Finals every single one of those 10 times. This is their 11th split, and they lost in the quarterfinals to Clutch Gaming. So their streak of North American Finals is over, and it was just finally. There's a lot of people in the community, especially fans of other teams that aren't TSM, have been waiting forever to see this team not make the finals, and they lost the quarterfinal match. So, also in the other North American quarterfinal, Team Liquid beat C9 in a 3-0 sweep, but it was by all regards a close 3-0 that C9 just kind of slipped up at the wrong time in 3 different games, and that's all it takes. They lost. It's over. So, the semifinals will go this weekend. For North America, it's on Saturday. We have... which one's Saturday? Team Liquid versus Team Echo Fox. And remember, all these top 6 teams who finished the regular season within one game of each other, and their seeding was basically just a whole bunch of tiebreakers on the last day. But yeah, semifinal matches. Tomorrow we have Team Liquid versus Team Echo Fox, and on Sunday we have Clutch Gaming versus 100 Thieves. Moving on to Europe. The EU LCS Splice took down Team Rocket, and Vitality took down H2K. in the quarterfinals and the semifinals, which by the time this episode published is probably already started because they happen right today on Friday. We have the G2 versus Splice semifinal that you can probably go to twitch.tv/riotgames and watch right after this. You're done listening to this episode if you listen to it right when it launches or publishes. And then tomorrow on Saturday we have Team Fnatic versus Team Fnatic versus Team Vitality in the semifinals for Europe, and that happens on Saturday, tomorrow. EULCS, we knew it was getting franchising. We have a few more details. Riot Games is officially accepting applications. So if you have, I think it's 8.2 million euros that you'd need for a new team to apply to EU franchising. If you have a bunch of money laying around and want to start a pro esports team, you can go ahead and apply to the EU LCS for franchising, but would not recommend unless you're already in the esports scene, obviously. Nadeshot announced that his esports team, 100 Thieves, is going to have a Call of Duty team. So that's a thing. For those of you who don't know, Nadeshot is one of the most prolific Call of Duty players ever, who got his rise to fame playing for Optic Gaming. He now owns his own esports brand in 100 Thieves. The same 100 Thieves you heard about earlier in League of Legends. They're going to get a Call of Duty team. The Overwatch World Cup was announced. The USA, South Korea, Thailand, and France are all going to play host to this year's Overwatch World Cup. And those teams will automatically qualify. Those are, I believe, the top 4 ranked countries in the world for Overwatch. So yeah, they're going to play host, and the remaining spots are going to be filled by general player rankings. The top 150 Overwatch players in each country, their average MMR is something is going to determine each seed, each of the rest of the spots in the Overwatch World Cup. Hen1 and Lucas1 both exit NTC. That is I believe a Brazilian CSGO team. I could be wrong about it being Brazilian, but I know that it is a CSGO team. ESL1 announced a new tournament in Brazil. So ESL1 Belo Horizonte is coming up. I don't have a date for it, but you can probably Google it by now and figure it out. But I'll cover that one probably when the tournament comes up. This weekend in esports on Twitch, you can of course watch the League of Legends Championship Series that I mentioned earlier, the Dota 2 Asia Championships, StarCraft 2 has a couple things, Nation Wars 5, and the GSL Code S Finals. Call of Duty World League Birmingham is on this weekend, and Heroes of the Storm has their HGC, which prompts me to ask, do you want me to start including Heroes of the Storm esports in the episode? Let me know, because nobody has ever given me listener feedback to date, so you should do that. What else do we got? We got Rocket League Championship Series, and the Hearthstone Wild Open Finals are being streamed on Hearthstone's Twitch channel. Before you go, I want to tell you that I've added the show to the Radio Public directory. So if you listen to the podcast on a mobile device, be it Android or iOS, and you switch from whatever app or method you're listening to the Radio Public app and listen to Montcast there, I can get paid 2 cents for every time someone listens to an episode on Radio Public. So if it makes little or no difference to you, I'd really appreciate you downloading the Radio Public app on either iOS or Android, whatever you have, and listening to Montcast there. It really helps out the show, and because I have no paid sponsorships, any kind of revenue that this can generate is just a plus. So I'd really appreciate the help there. Obviously, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and thank you once again to Approaching Nirvana for letting me use the wonderful Approaching Nirvana music as background to this wonderful podcast. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next Friday.